Well, earlier in the program, I played a kind of a mashup of a lot of commentators on MSNBC, the very left-wing network. They're saying ICE agents, immigration agents, are the Gestapo. They are just like Hitler. They are, Nazis. They are all of this. This sort of rhetoric, and again, I hate to use the sort of, words or violence kind of thing that we've always heard from the left, but it would seem that if you keep pumping this into the culture, you're going to have a minority, a small number of people, but in a country of 300 million people, enough, who might decide to act. We're already seeing that. This seems to be a real problem.
It is. Look, and if you think about it, and I hesitate to put this, I'll pose this very carefully, but if you really believe that America is in the grip of a fascist dictatorship, and there's a lot of this commentary about from very serious people, supposedly serious people, if you really believe that Donald Trump, if you believe this is Weimar Germany, 1933, and that people are going to be taken off the streets and are going to lose their liberties and are going to be murdered and all this kind of stuff. If you really believe that, then there is a certain logic. I mean, we've all played that kind of, that intellectual game, James, that we kind of, if you could go back and murder Hitler before he became Chancellor of Germany in 1933, would you do it? Would it be the right thing to do? Most of us probably say, I mean, obviously it's a ridiculous hypothetical question, but most would say, what? Yeah, of course murdering Hitler would have been a reasonable thing to do if it would have saved, the lives of tens of millions of people. So if you really believe, and I don't, of course, and I think this language is extreme, but if you really believe that Donald Trump is another Hitler and that we're going to have a Nazi, essentially a kind of fascist dictatorship in the United States, then actually, some of those people, you don't have to be a crazy, deranged, disordered extremist. You could just think, it's my duty to stop this country falling into the hands of another Adolf Hitler. That's why that language is so dangerous, because you really have to dial it back. And that's the problem, James, is this language has been prevalent on all sides in American politics for a very long time. The left accusing the right, accusing Republicans of wanting to kill people by taking away their health care. Sometimes the right accusing liberals and progressives of wanting to, cancel people and destroy their freedoms, this kind of stuff. This is a country right now, James, that feels increasingly like the initiative, the momentum is being driven by the most extreme voices on both sides. And that, again, that's not going to end well.
Gerard, that's my big concern. That's why I wanted to have you on and chat about it. But on that baby Hitler game, I always turn around and say, well, what about a baby Jean-Jacques Rousseau? Might have saved some problems with that, too. Thanks so much for your time, Gerard. Really appreciate it.